Hey now, Jamie here from the Secret Cabal, and welcome to my first video review. And let me tell you, this is a big one. This is a doozy. From the developers of one of the largest video games in history, League of Legends, Riot Games has seen fit to give us a board game in the League of Legends setting. Let me tell you, you're gonna pass out when you see this one. But without further ado, let's get on to my video review of Mechs vs. Minions. In Mechs vs. Minions, the players take the role of Yordles, a small gnomish race of people from the League of Legends setting. You'll be drafting command cards to program your mech, then running that program with the objective of killing minions and achieving the mission objectives. There are tons of missions in Mechs vs. Minions, and each one of them is enclosed in a packet that you'll open upon completing the previous mission. Each packet contains a mission briefing, new rules, and new components to add to the game. You set up the board as shown in the mission briefing, place your mechs in their starting locations, and then minions spawn all over the board. The first phase of the game is the command card draft. Each player selects a command card to program into their mech's dashboard. Command cards are how your mech will move, turn, and attack minions. Most often you'll only select one new card to program into your dashboard, and you only have 60 seconds to make the right choice. This can be a really difficult puzzle. There are 3 different types of command cards: move cards, turn cards, and attack cards. And there are 4 different versions of each one of those cards, and that gives you a lot of variety in how you can program your mech. And on top of that, there are 4 different power types that are shown in the upper left-hand corner, including fire, metal, electricity, and computery. If you slot a card on top of another card of the same power type, the command yields an even more effective result. After the draft and programming phase, each player in turn runs each command in their program from slot 1 to slot 6. The mechs move across the board, they're killing minions as they go, and of course, you have to achieve the mission objectives. When killing minions, they get placed on the kill track. When the track reaches the top, you get to advance the team gear tracker. When hitting certain locations on the track, you can unlock schematics that give you cool new abilities that you can use at the right moment. When you reach the very top of the team gear track, you can unlock the overdrive ability, which is an even more powerful ability for your mech. Sometimes you'll even have to contend with hazards on the board like oil slicks and lava. Then it's time for the minions to retaliate. You'll spawn minions all over the board and then move them based on a method described in the mission briefing. Those little buggers will attack anything that they're adjacent to, and you're going to have to take damage cards. For each damage you take, you have to draw that many damage cards. Some force you to swap previously programmed slots, and others are directly programmed into your dashboard. Damage could send your mech careening across the board and slamming into walls. This overview is just the basics of the game. There's so much more to discover here. Each mission introduces new and interesting game rules, damage cards, schematics, hazards, and sometimes even new enemies to fight. The game grows and grows as you progress, and it never leaves you playing the same game twice. Let's start off with the elephant in the room. This thing is a gigantic box. It's 16 pounds of board game. And it's only $75. And when I said earlier you're going to pass out when you see this thing, I guarantee you that the videos that you see, the photos that you see are not going to give you the full picture of what this really is like when you get it and you open it up and you start pulling out those inserts and you start seeing there's layer after layer. I liken it to a Russian doll, right? You take the top off and you pull out one layer and there's another layer. You pull out another layer, there's another layer. You pull out another layer, there's another layer underneath there, and it's beautiful and it's jaw-droppingly wonderful. I mean, the miniatures are pre-painted beautifully. The minions aren't painted, but they have a wash on them. And that just goes to show that Riot Games has done everything in their power to pay attention to every detail in this production. The production is stellar and amazing. They give you metal tokens for the kill track and the team gear track. They give you metal coin tokens for the runes that you'll find out later. I'm not going to spoil what that is, but you'll find out that later as you start going through the campaign. They didn't need to put that in. It was going to be cardboard. But no, they're metal because every detail is paid attention to so that your experience is top notch with this thing, and it's $75. You're not going to find a game like this for that price anywhere. So, even the boards, like if you look at the boards, the grass area on the boards is like a matte, but when you get to the oil slicks and the lava, it's shiny. So it looks wet, you know? So every detail was paid close attention to make this a fantastic production and keep the price low. But of course, components aren't everything. Artwork isn't everything. Gameplay is what really matters here. And let me go on to say that the gameplay is just amazing here. Now, is it going to be life-changing, as some people said? No, it's not going to be life-changing. Not everything in this box is innovative. I mean, this has been done in a lot of places before, but the way they put these mechanics together, it works together like an amazing clock. You know, everything clicks along so perfectly, and it's fun doing it. There's a lot of thought that goes into it. It looks like just your standard old dice rolling Ameritrash game, but it's really not that. There's a lot of thought that goes into programming these mechs with those different cards. Now let's talk about the cards. The cards, there are only 4 different types of cards in each one of those different types, like the move and the turn and the attack. There's only 4 different types of each. And what's great about that is, after your first play, you kind of saw all the cards. So you know what to expect, and when those come out in the draft, you can see them immediately. You don't have to read every card. You can just pick what you need and go. But with that whole concept of powering them up by putting layers of the same power type on each other, and the fact that you're programming them in all different ways, the variety is so deep in the game, and the puzzle that you have to figure out to make your mech do exactly what you want it to do is very tough. And one further with that, you're usually, it's not all the time, but usually only drafting one card at a time. And drafting that one single card is difficult because you only get one option, right? But then there's options of where you put it. What do you replace? What do you change? Sometimes you can throw them away. I didn't mention this in the overview, but sometimes you can throw them away to repair damage, and you can swap locations and stuff like that by trashing a card. So there are options there, and even though there's only a few cards in the game, there's so much meat here to mine with the programming of this game. They took great strides in this cooperative game. The one thing everybody complains about with cooperative games is always that quarterback, the guy who knows how to play board games and he's telling everybody what to do. You can't do that in this game. You have 60 seconds to pick your card out of 5. So there are 4 people around the table, they're picking one card, 60 seconds. And you don't know what everybody else's program is by heart, so you can't tell them what they need to do. So everybody's collaborating. We need to get that thing done over there. Who can make that happen, and what card can we give you to make it happen? And it's so everybody's collaborating. It's not just, here, do this, do that. It's collaboration, and this game breeds that, which is so much better than most cooperative games out there that don't have features like this. So talking about the way the enemies react on the board, each one of those missions is a little different. They move differently. Sometimes it's a die roll and they move in a certain direction. Sometimes they're chasing down an objective. Sometimes they're trying to kill you, whatever. It's always different in every mission. Now sometimes there's overlap, but most times it's different. So every game feels just a little different with that mission briefing. And talking about that mission briefing, it's very easy to get into each mission. Even though they add new rules, they add new components, it's not difficult. You read the mission briefing, maybe take you 30 seconds, 60 seconds to get into the next mission. You read it out to the table, and everybody knows what to do, and you're off to the races. So they've done a great job of doing a tutorial every time you start the game really quickly and get you into the action and having a lot of fun. Campaign games. This one is a campaign game, and I really hesitate to call it a legacy game because it does have elements of legacy in it, right? It's got packets that are enclosed, it's got components that you don't find until they come up in the mission. It's got things hidden in the box. I won't spoil that or anything. And then there's boxes that are sealed. So that's got those elements of legacy, but you can play this game over and over and over again. You're never ripping anything up, you're never putting stickers all over everything, you're never doing anything like that. So the game doesn't change, it just adds more. And you can always remove that stuff, go back to the beginning and start over. As a matter of fact, if you end the game, you go back to the beginning, it's a little bit harder, there's some achievements you can do and stuff like that. They've done a great job of making it feel a little bit like a legacy, but being just a campaign game. And what's awesome about that is that they've taken great strides here to make this a celebration. The game doesn't begin when you make your first move or program your first card. It starts before that. It starts the planning. You read the mission briefing. You're like, all right, everybody talks about strategy. What are we going to do? You go over there. I go over there. You make sure that you're going for the objective and I'm going to be killing those guys. You talk about that stuff. Then you play the game and then you fail. And then you go back to the beginning. You're like, all right, what did we do wrong? And you keep talking about it. And the game is still going on at this point. And then when you succeed, the experience doesn't end because there's a ceremony of taking that packet, opening it up, pulling that stuff out, handing out cards to everybody. Everybody's cheering and having a great time, and they're chomping at the bit to get back at the next mission. It's what happened in our group. We begrudgingly ended for the night after playing 3 full missions, and some of them 2 and 3 times at a clip. I'm sorry, this game is fantastic. We had a blast playing this game. Everybody can't wait to get back to the table and play this game again because it's just so beautiful, so well designed. It just plays really, really, really well. And for those of you who don't own it, you can get that experience at a relatively inexpensive price, $75. Again, you'll never find anything like this for $75. And I pray that Riot Games continues to make games after this one because they do a great job. Better than most. I'll say that. Well, there it is, my review of Mechs vs. Minions, my very first video review, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel. I'm definitely going to be doing more video reviews. We're going to be putting out more content. Hopefully we'll get Steve in there, we'll get Chris in there, some of the other guys as well. Also, if you're interested in Mechs vs. Minions, if you want to check out the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast, our audio show, we have an interview with Chris Cantrell from Riot Games. He talks about the development of the game, the processes they went through, how they got it to $75 and stuff like that. So check it out at thesecretcabal.com or on iTunes. Thanks very much and see you next time.